Good morning. This is Cynthia. I am actually going to be showcasing a couple of applications this morning. I just wanted to start by showing my GitHub account because I know one of the biggest fears of people is people just taking forks of other applications that were already made and then just claiming it as their own. And I just wanted to show that that's not the case for Artisan AI and also for Oracle, which is, I'm pretty sure it's on this account. I would show the rest of the repositories, but they do have some pretty funny names to them, some really colorful names, and I don't want to seem too unprofessional. But anyways, the application, the main focus of this video is Artisan AI. Why? Because of my claims that I was able to automate like 70% of my art business, and that business is the print-on-demand model. And so for those that are not really in the test space, that don't understand coding at all and building, you're probably thinking, how the hell did she do this? And then for those that are actually in it, not at my level, but higher up, you're probably thinking, this amateur, this person claims that, and I get it. But I feel like it's important to kind of show the proof instead of just squawking it. So I have, oh my goodness, I was in the ringer with Gemini for I don't know how many hours. Implementing these commits, and I know it's only like 39, but basically I wanted to see there were other portions of the application that I could automate, whether it's through scripting, Python, or even something as simple as C++. And then I'll be kind of doing my own testing, and then finally just kind of go over the UI and maybe make a big adjustment to the look of the UI because it looks pretty industrial right now. It kind of reminds me of a sci-fi film a little bit. But anyways, this is my GitHub account. As I mentioned before, I do have 2 other GitHub accounts, mainly because I'm utilizing the free tiers of Google AI Studio. On this account, I do have the feature where I have a car linked via Google Cloud or whatever. When you do that, and you actually link a car and you do the $10 credit or whatever, you're essentially allowed to have higher free tiers or requests that you can put into the chat when you're interacting with Gemini as a co-assistant. And so that's pretty much what I've been doing, and all my applications have been built like this. I have not been spending, I think the highest I spent in API bills was maybe $20 throughout my entire stretch of just designing all these different applications. But anyway, this is Artisan AI. These are all the commits I made. And this is my GitHub account. Now then, where is it located? So I made a folder called Greybots, and it just has a bunch of stuff I made. And all of them are in different levels. Like some are in the final, hey, I don't think I'm gonna update this anymore stage, and more of the, hey, I might showcase this stage. Others are still ongoing, like Artisan AI, Greybots, etc. But this is the application itself. And you're probably thinking, wait, why does it have the Electron folder, the distribution folder? That was because I am still debating whether I should compile this into a .executional file or not. For this video, it's not going to be deployed as a .executional file. It's just going to be running on a local host link on my computer, using one of the other applications I actually coded. Okay, so this is the folder. This is all my stuff, right? So because I have so many like different really lightweight applications I'm running, I kind of taught myself how to actually create a .bat file that kind of runs everything on the go. And it's certain portions of it, like this one is just mainly for if I'm doing art and automation stuff. This is for like chatting and role play. And then the extra work is just for random apps I created that don't really fit within these 2. So I'm going to start by clicking on this. And I do have Tailscale installed and it's currently running. Actually, let me check and make sure that thing is running. It is. It is. So I made sure that all these are funneling through Tailscale, just as an extra air of precaution. But they're all running for the most part. And now you're thinking, now what? Well, the other application I want to showcase is a .executional file that I made, which is called Oracle. I'm gonna really briefly go over it, and then we'll go over Artisan AI. So this was made around 3 to 4 weeks ago already. I haven't made any updates to it. I will though eventually. But anyways, this is Oracle. So what problem was I trying to solve? Well, I wanted to try to talk to either cloud models or using my own chat interface I coded, using Gemini as the code assistant, and just have it to where I can basically talk to multiple agents at the same time. It's really basic now. Like, it doesn't have really advanced features like being able to send a message or broadcast a message to 3 agents at the same time. There's actually another application I'm currently working on. It's called Inference One, where I implemented that feature along with other things as well. But this was like my early projects. That's this rag. And basically you're allowed to customize it and all that. These, you can literally just go to it's basically the netrunner endpoints, aka the URL. Just put the URL of whatever cloud service you want to go or want it to load, and then you save it. But for the other applications I actually made it to where these are just drop-down menus. So you just select Google, you just select Venice, etc. And that's how I implement for the other application. But anyways, a few neat things I decided to code just for the heck of it. A calculator. Oh my goodness gracious, look at how fancy it is. It's a calculator, ladies and gents. An image viewer. So basically you select the image and you can view it. Woohoo. let's move on. For whatever reason, I decided to code in the web browser because I was feeling fancy, but it's not really needed here unless you really absolutely need to search for something, which is a little ridiculous. But I implemented it. Oh, and these boxes right here, they just auto snap to the size, so you don't have to click and drag. Anyways, and these are just the random locally hosted link applications I have. So you would go here, and then you just put in the name or whatever. All right, and then input. It was supposed to take notes, whatever notes I put in here, and then just auto-populate here. Unfortunately, I could not get that to work, but that's something I do want to add as well. That's another feature as well, just having like in-house applications or things within the application itself, like a note taker, an image viewer, as you see, where you don't have to exit out from the application just to open yet another Windows application just to do the thing that you wanted to do or view documentation and stuff. But that's for another video. So you guys got the gist of it. Now let's focus on Artisan AI. And this is Artisan AI, the one thing that was actually able to help me to automate majority of my art business almost. So what is the concept? So one of the major bottlenecks for me was the metadata. It was the titles, the descriptions, and then the tags. So for those that are not familiar with the POD model at all or not in the art world, this is what I'm talking about. So if you ever gone or actually sold art on a place like Redbubble, and you upload a piece of artwork, normally you have to put in the titles, the descriptions, and then the tags. Well, around, I think the end of 2025, last year, Redbubble had made some major changes to putting in the tags. So before, you could easily copy and paste the tags, whatever, into that input box in the interface when you're uploading the artwork and then you're adjusting it for the different products. Now they changed it to where it's similar to TeePublic, where you can't easily do that anymore. That was not the core reason why I made this. I kind of forgot about it. But this actually kind of helps mitigate that and then automates other portions of my art business, which I'm going to get into. But what is the list creator, prompt creator? So these are like different local AI that I have installed on my computer that are running using LM Studio, which I'm actually going to go ahead and bring it up. And to start off, let's just pick this one right here. This is actually from IBM. It's one of my personal favorites. And then we're going to go with Mistral. So the list creator, what is their purpose? So the way I had mapped this out in my head is this. We're doing a really basic baton pass. It's kind of basic, but it's actually genius if you're looking for something that just works. So the first model, and before we do that, it is pretending that it's found it. Okay. There we go. So the first model, it's basically creating a list of whatever the subject is. It could be 5, 10. I put it up to 50 based on my own computer specs and what I know my computer can handle. So when it's creating a list, I'm basically asking it to create 50 variations of, let's just say, sports cars. For this to sample, let's keep it at 10, okay? And then I would save it. So the AI is generating 10 different sports cars, but what is the purpose? I'm just trying to make sure I have the right models selected for the job before I start going off. So then the next role, the prompt creator, what is it? I implemented a keyword detection and switching mechanic. So what it does is this. We put in the prompt, and what I love doing is that when I'm typing out the prompt, I love testing it with Venice AI, which I personally use for the art creation process. I love giving it a test drive first, just to kind of see if there's any adjustments I need to make to the prompt itself. Not to get the perfect picture per se, but just to make sure it follows the general logic of what I want the art piece to look like. And so, remember what I said about the list creator, and it's going to make 10, right? Well, it will take those 10 variations and switches it with subject. So now you don't just have one, you have 10. You have 10 different prompts. And so this is what the prompt creator does. And I'll go over why I am picking certain models for certain roles in just a moment. But anyways, let's just leave this here and move on. Title creator, what is this purpose? I guess you could almost say it creates like the first draft of the title. And what I mean is the title for the art piece. Remember what I mentioned about Redbubble? Well, this was experimentation that I did with another application that I made called Gigaspin. With Gigaspin, I know it's basically a metadata generator using local AI. And by the way, local AI we use for everything. There's no API key involved. I noticed that even if it was just the title of the art piece that I put for, I think it was for basically just the title. Basically, that application, all it was supposed to do is just do a much more creative and refined version of the titles, tags, and descriptions, and just make sure the tags actually aligned with what is currently being what is popular or being sought after online in the SEO metadata using Google search and such. And so, but what I noticed that when I just put the title, it still generated everything else, and I'm like, that's peculiar. So the titles creator job is to create the titles. You can almost say they're sort of like templates. We'll just leave this for now because these are not going to be published onto a POD platform. And now we get to the SEO creator. So when I made this, I just pretty much focus on platforms I know I'll be uploading to, but if this was for like a client, I would definitely add a lot more platforms. But let's just pretend, we're gonna upload this art to Redbubble eventually. The style, whether it's LGBTQ+ or not, in gaming. So why is this important? Because it actually affects the output from the SEO creator or the AI agent that's taking on this role. So what does this affect? This affects the title. All these affect the title, the description itself, and then finally the tags that are going to be implemented into it. I hard-coded the logic for the tags into whatever platform you pick. So when you pick Redbubble, the hard cap for the tags is 10, because now Redbubble has implemented a feature where you have to put in a main tag. That's something I would prefer to do myself manually, and then you can only do 14 more tags to kind of mitigate the AI slop spam that they unfortunately are suffering from. So, oh, and this is whether it's hashtag mode or comma separated, but it's Redbubble. We're just going to leave it just like this. We can do, let me see, I guess we can do gaming and just save it. So the master output, what exactly happens? Well, like I said, it's the baton passed. The list creator goes first, and then the prompt creator, and then the title, and then the SEO. All these are saved in a .tet file. It's one of the most easy files to handle, honestly. It doesn't really need to be a PDF unless you really need to kind of showcase, like, I'm trying to figure out in my head if this will even need to be in like a business setting. Perhaps you're trying to show a client the metadata that you were thinking of inputting, like the different tags and how it would co-align with the titles and descriptions for an art piece or something. I guess that would be the only one. But let's just say you're a studio, or even just one person, you're just like, I don't want to do this crap by myself anymore manually. Well, this will be your solution. So let me just make sure everything's up and good one more time. Okay. And then we start, and it just generates. It just generates. There's a bit of a tiny bug where it doesn't do like the full like amount, like it'll miss like one or two. That's something I do want to fix too. I'll have to take a really good look in the code and see what is causing that to happen. It could just be the context window of the AIs as well. Just something to tweak and adjust. And so that way you can see too that yes, this is working. But yeah, now imagine 50. Now imagine 500. Imagine 1,000. And this is just one side of the application. So all this is done. And honestly, at least for me, I wouldn't personally save this. Not this either. This, yes, you can save it. So let's just put it on the desktop for now. And then the prompt, the list of prompts or whatever, we can save it. Now to make sure you guys don't think, oh, this is bullshit. This woman is full of bullshit. Here it is. Title, description, and it's kind of long because of the way Notepad reads the text files, and then the tags. All there. Oh, this seems to show up twice for some reason. Well, that's hilarious. I guess it. Ugh. It's sort of a bit of a mess. Some bugs here and there, but yeah, 11 items. They actually added one more item, even though it was supposed to be 10. See what I mean? Just minor bugs that need to be fixed. But does it work? Yes. Does it actually resolve my problem? Yes. Now you're like, okay, great, Cynthia. There's a bunch of SEO data. What are we gonna do with it? Well, I integrated an application called GoToSlider. It's basically the best way to describe it. It's like that really old school slideshows applications that we had to use back in the day. But it's not really like that. So I was like, okay, this is great. Wonderful, peachy. I have all this data. And yet, I don't know what to do with it. Well, I was thinking, and a little application called Tiny Task came to mind, and I was like, so this nifty little tool can record my keystrokes, can record my mouse clicks, and I'm pretty sure I don't want to do that, Venice, because I am poor. Me don't have credits anymore, at least not a lot. Okay, let's do this. In fact, let's start a new chat. And we're just gonna use Quinn image. Okay, now let's go back to Google Slider. So I said to myself, I can record myself doing keystrokes. Well, what if I just made an interface or just parts of the application where it kind of acts as like a slider for the prompts that were generated, and it shows each prompt one by one, and then it has a copy button and a left and right icon to slide left or going forward and going back. Well, oh, that's prompt, I'm sorry. There we go. And so I did just that, and I'm like, let's just do it like that. That first one's a little iffy. Kind of adjusts the UI a little bit. But yeah, just minor things that I am definitely going to be fixing. Sometimes it detects garbage data. This is not going to generate, but just for giggles, we are going to do that. So Tiny Task, let's find it. So for anyone that is as ancient as me, this is Tiny Task. Like I said, it records your mouse movements. I'm not gonna do it here because you can kind of see for yourself. That's how it works. But Tiny Task just records the hotkeys and mouse clicks and stuff. Okay, so let's pretend this was running. Basically, what I would just do is that, and then that, and then that, and not even like, I would just use Shift Tab, honestly. That's a lot more secure than just moving the mouse around, because anything can happen with a computer, right? But I don't really have a lot of applications running on my computer, so this is how I would do it, and then just push enter. Oh, that's really cute. It's actually not that bad. And so I will literally wait about a minute or a minute and a half while I'm recording myself using Tiny Task or recording the mouse movements and hotkeys. Because I notice that sometimes, especially when you're starting a new chat, and it really depends on the art model as well. I know in some instances Turbo or Z Turbo is actually quite better suited for artwork such as this. I just noticed that Quinn image tends to align with the specific art style that I am requesting it to do the artwork in better than Z Turbo. So sometimes I use Quinn image, sometimes I use Z Turbo, sometimes I use Chroma. It's been pretty decent. Another thing too, Quinn image tends to lag a teeny tiny bit as the contents window for that chat instance, with just basically prompting more and more images starts to slow down. That's normal. And also because it's running on a browser, it tends to be a lot more harder on a browser tab. It tends to be more memory intensive. So I would just do Shift, tab, 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 download, and just download the image. And then once I was done recording, I would save the recording in Tiny Task. And then what I would do is basically go to preferences and just set the loop. I try to set it up to close to whatever number of prompts are in that text file image. And I just let it run. And it just does that. Now here's one last thing I do want to mention. And I will demonstrate. So this is a really, really badly done auto upscaler. This is not neural upscaler. This was a really quick upscaler that I created, but it has one key feature. It actually watches the folder that I select. So let's make a new folder called that, and I'll actually have to have this running first too, before I do anything. So this is Stability Matrix. It's just an inference software to help me inference like different instances like Comfy UI, etc. And it allows me to use different art models for, at least for my case, I've been using it mainly to have my upscaler automatically batch scale a bunch of my images. So let's look at packages. We're not going to add, I have Comfy UI, and we're not going to update it because we don't really need to do that, at least not yet. But we're going to have it running. Okay, and since these guys are not needed anymore, let's just eject them, so that way we can save a little bit of RAM and GPU. But anyways, back to the new folder. Let's call it cars. Okay, so here's how I would actually set it up. So when I start a new chat in Venice, or if I'm just starting the application using Oracle, or even just something like Brave or Chrome, etc. When Windows prompts you to pick a folder, a lot of times, I'll have to test this out, but a lot of times it starts either at downloads or at the last place you were doing something at. And then you kind of have to just pick the folder. But then once you do that for sequential future art pieces, like if it's the same chat instance, it keeps saving onto that folder. And so I said, okay, that's actually really cool. What can I do to take advantage of this? Well, let's go back to Upscaler. And I think this is the one where I have to manually input the path. Oh honey, this is ridiculous. Okay, and desktop. I'm actually confusing this version with the updated version I'm actually currently working on. My bad. So I am just all over the place. So we actually have to go to Graybots. And there's a folder called Auto Upscaler. That's that application that's running right now. Not Asset Flow, this one. So there's a folder that I basically hard-coded to where it generates that input image folder when you open it up either through VS Code or even have it running as a .executable file. But it's not a .executable file, obviously. So, and it automatically watches this folder, and you can see that I've been doing other work and stuff. Well, let's delete these. Let's just delete these. And this is running. Perfect. Makes me wonder if I should even open up the page. We'll just have it. We'll just have it open like this. Okay. So, you're probably thinking, she's talking a lot of shit. I know. Bear with me. So it's watching this folder. I have it at 4x. Let's say I was auto-saving from, between Golden Slider and Venice AI or whatever AI platform that happens to have image generation included in this service. Let's just say this was one of the images. Boom. Oh, look, it got prompt. And for those that are not tech, they're like, what does that mean? It means that basically this application automatically sent the work over to my Comfy UI instance and upscaled the image. And I'll show you proof in just a moment. That's basically all it's doing. So when you're running Stability Matrix, it creates a data folder. But what's really honestly helpful about it is that if you download again, or if you run it and it doesn't automatically detect the data folder, you're allowed to set that data folder. And so I ended up moving the data folder all the way to over here. So this is the actual data folder for my instance of Stability Matrix. And so I went over and okay. And this is The reason why I have it in a shared files is because of another application where it actually allows me to access my files using an application that I'm currently coding. So my computer is acting like a cloud server, but that's not important. So Comfy UI, and the reason why I did this is because I didn't want to be bothered to try to figure out how to actually get it to save to a different output folder, because by default it saves it to an output folder that's inside the data folder. So where is this? So this is Comfy UI, right? So you go to packages, you go to Comfy UI, and then you go to output. And there's a bunch of stuff here. There's our image. There's that image, and then let's do the other one that I just found. Oh, that's the wrong image. In fact, I think it was called Gemini. I am so sorry, guys. I think it was called Gemini. Give me a sec. Right, this is the one. So this is the one that went into input images. That was the one that was sent over to Comfy UI to then upscale. It started like this, and now it's this. So that's how I automate, like, I'm almost wanted to say 90% of everything. I would then go back and just kind of go through the files that were pushed over to the output folder that were done, and then just copy them over to whatever folder where the SEO data was located, and then just name the folder appropriately so that way I know what type of art it is and what date and time I actually did it. And then I just pick whatever files I wanted to edit, and then I would be literally the last mile. I would then be able to edit whatever images I wanted to. And then based on the order of the images and also the SEO data, I was able to go, okay, it's this image, that's the titles, tasks, descriptions, etc. for it. And I was able to just automate that tedious process. So that's how I did it. And that concludes the video. I'm just kidding. But that's pretty much how I did it. Upscale auto. Let me tell you, this took like maybe 2 prompts to make with Gemini. Because I already knew what I wanted. I'm like, hey, we're just gonna create this, and I already had the JSON file. It's basically the JSON file that you have to export. That's basically your workflow UI from Comfy UI, basically. You export it, and it's not the normal one, it's the one with the API in the end of it. That's the version of the JSON file that you have to export. And so I did that, and I was able to just basically make another upscaler, but with it just checking whatever folder you pick. But the latest version, I'm able to just select whatever folder I wanted to watch. Oh, and you can just pick whatever. Oh, yeah, I knew it. Yeah, that's just something I'll have to fix. But yeah, in the newest version, however, that's already fits. It looks way more professional than this, and I'll definitely showcase it once it's done. But anyways, that concludes Artisan AI with Godot slider implemented into it. But that's how I automated. My problem was I was freaking sick and tired of doing this and not being able to batch upscale my images. Like, I have the paid version of Venice, and you can upscale however many images you want, but you can only do it one at a time. And this cost me $0. This freaking cost me $0, except for the subscription for Venice, but there's no API key needed. There's none of that crap needed. So that's how I did it. I hope you liked the video. If you like contents like this, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I do have my current website. It's not the CARD one. It's actually one that I coded with Gemini. There are just a tiny bit of little things I have to add and fits here and there, but it's basically functional. I'm gonna be uploading like everything on there. So yeah, I will catch you on the next one.